Okay, so once you have your bowl and it's leather hard, and you can blow dry it if it's too wet, this might be a tiny bit. You're gonna flip it upside down on the wheel. The rings on the wheel head will help you line this up to get it centered. Then I'm just gonna grab a chunk of clay that I'm gonna make 3 little chunks of clay out of to hold this in place. And the way I want to secure this to the wheel is I'll place them kind of evenly, equidistant. Good vocabulary, right? When I push this in, I do not want to push it into my bowl. I want to just press this down into the wheel, and then that will naturally kind of hold the bowl in place. So I hold the bowl still with my one hand and then press that down into the wheel. So it's stuck to the wheel, not to my bowl, but it is holding my bowl there. I'm going to always hold my trimming tools at 3 o'clock. So if this were a clock, 3 o'clock is right here. And I want to make sure I'm always really braced, because if you're not careful, the clay will pull your tool and you can make big mistakes with your trimming. So I'm going to make sure my arm is braced and I hold the tool really securely. And my first thing is I'm just going to cut off this like that really big chunk of extra clay that I had. So kind of trim off all of that excess. And then I can trim the very bottom flat as well. I actually want to go a tiny bit faster. So you're not going, don't go so slow, because if you go too slow, you can't hold your tool still enough. You have to hold it in the exact same spot for your wheel to rotate at least once. And if it's going so slow, you're going to be like not really staying in the same spot that long, you know. So go a little bit faster, but you know, slow enough that you have control. Next thing is I'm going to carve this in, trim this in to determine where the width of my foot should be. So for this bowl, and this is kind of an aesthetic decision you'll have to make. How wide should the foot be? Bring this in a little narrower. So I'm going to hold the tool 3 o'clock and angle it. So wherever I leave this edge right here, that's where the outside of my foot will be. So I'm going to go in a little farther. Then once I've decided, okay, that's how wide I want that foot to be, now I'm going to go straight down from here. And so I'm going to turn my tool, and you, like I said, you can use the tool however you want, but this is how I do it. And I'll hold this with both hands so it's nice and secure. And I'm going to let that go straight down. And this will determine the height of the foot. Okay, and then I have this weird thing sticking up here. I'm going to turn to the flat part again and just carve all that smooth. Okay, you should know before you put this down kind of how thick your bowl is, because you can, obviously at this stage, you can carve right through and then have to start all over again. But I'm going to go a tiny bit taller on this foot. Okay, so if you get to a point and you're like, oh, I don't remember how thick this was, I'm not sure if I'm getting close, you can stop your wheel, make a little mark on one of these balls of clay. I'm going to make a little mark with my finger, and then I'm going to make that mark in the clay too on my bowl. So then I will know which way this was when I put it back. I'm going to pull away these other 2 sides. This is a little soft. Moves a little too easily. Anyway, and then I can feel how thick the clay is and see if I need to go farther or not. And it's actually pretty good. So I'm gonna stop carving away, set that back down and realign my marks. Get centered again. Put those back in place. I'm going to trim off that little edge. This clay is so soft. This is a little too soft. I would say I wouldn't normally want to trim with it quite this soft. Okay, so next step after you've done, did you guys all draw that or write that, what you do? Because that's the part right there that everybody always makes the mistake. They don't carve enough or they leave too much there. And then you always have to look at that overall shape of the bowl too. Like you turn and make sure that curve, is a nice curve into the foot. Then you're going to make the inside ring. So I use this skinny part of this tool again. Hold it down. Again, I'm at about 3 o'clock. Hold this with both hands. My arms are braced. And I always make this a little thicker than I think I want it to start because I can always go thinner as far as the width here, this width of that part. So you remember, everything you do on the wheel, you are holding pretty still. Your hands don't move fast. You move slowly. Everything you're holding really still, and the wheel's moving. So don't try to be trimming like moving anything, or don't stop your wheel and start trimming stuff because it will always look uneven and not uniform anymore. So you let the wheel do the work. You just hold still. You have to be, this is the part most people make the mistake and go all the way through. So that's where you really have to be conscious of that. And if your clay is soft, if you press and you feel it give, then you know you're getting pretty thin. So be kind of aware of that. If your clay's drier, then that's harder to tell. But okay, so that's basically it. I can hold my finger just on there to just kind of smooth that on the inside and outside a little bit. It's really soft still. So this is why you don't stamp too low on your bowl, because it will get trimmed off. So you have to make sure it's kind of in the middle or up toward the top of your bowl where you stamp. And then you always make sure you carve your name or your initials in your class period on the bottom also. So stamp, and then also after you trim, you carve your name in there.